Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are kind of here, barely here.
Barely awake.
Just barely here.
At least I am.
Anyway, good to see you guys. Bill just came in.
Yeah, hey, Bill.
Bernard's here. John from Schoolkill. Good to see you guys.
Got
Sparky's getting coffee and going to meet us in the shed. Sparky, come on the show this morning.
Yeah, tell Sparky you're on the show.
Now, I'm going to put the link up for you. You come on the show. You probably wouldn't hear all this, but who else is here? Rob's here. Rob T-Man's here.
Joe Rader.
Joe Rader's here. Good to see you, Joe.
We're here. I'm here.
Anyway, yeah, Steve and I were just yakking about his exploits, which is kind of a story in itself. We won't go into that.
No.
But,
no, it's smokier than crap here this morning. Very smoky.
Dwight Curley just came in. Good morning, Dwight.
Hey, Dwight.
Yeah, wife and I are supposed to go to a football game today, and it's supposed to rain, so we're kind of debating on whether or not to go. The game's not till tonight, but it's about an hour and a half from here. So we are going to decide that right after the show. And if we go, we'll probably head right over. Anyway.
And as usual, we don't have a topic.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, we got a topic. We always have a topic. That's model railroading, but
yeah,
a specific topic. Because even when we have a specific topic, it never stays there. So
never, no.
And I think that's part of the good part of the show. So if you guys have something you want to talk about, put it in the chat, or better yet, come on the show with us.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
Get on.
I'm gonna put there it is. There's the link to the show. So if you want to join, hit that link and put your name and stuff in there. And
yeah,
if you feel like it, I'll let you on.
Yeah, come on, Bernard. I dare you. I double dog dare you to come on.
Bernard's been double dog dared. Hey, Roy just came in. Good to see you, Roy. Hope everybody's doing well. I didn't get up but about 30 minutes ago. Friday nights, once a month, we do game night at my daughter's house. So we were over there till midnight or a little after. And no, I'm not getting smoke. We're getting rain clouds. It's cloudy out this morning. There's a big front out just west of us, but it's the front's stationary, and the rain's moving southwest to northeast along the front, but it hadn't got over here to us yet. So, and I don't know if it's going to today. Yesterday they were saying it was almost 100% chance here, and now it's like 20% chance. So we'll see what happens. It'll probably wait till I get set down in the football stadium, and then it'll pour on us.
Yeah, Roy, you did the show yesterday or last week with Shannon. Why don't you come on this morning? Because I was not there.
He said he couldn't come on today.
Oh,
I thought that's what I read. We want Sparky to come on, though. Come on, Sparky. Hit that link. Come on. Yeah. Al Mark's here. Hey, Al.
Good morning, Al.
You can come on, Al. We need to get somebody on here. We'll discuss. We'll talk about you to your face, see?
We should get everybody on and do just a giant Zoom meeting.
Well, I don't think we can. I think we can only get so many on here, and I'm not sure how many it is.
Oh, that's right. Well, we can do at least 4.
Yeah, we can get a couple people on here. If we have anybody that's got any guts.
Oh, yeah. We're going to double dog dare everybody.
Really? Yeah, we need to get Sparky and Al on here. Come on. You guys need the link? Did you see the link? Here's the link again. There you go. Just hit that. You can do it on your phone.
When you get internet fixed, Bernard, come on. Hey, Allie, good morning.
Allie's here. Good morning, Allie. Anyway, I had something to tell you about, and I've completely forgotten what it is now. I don't know if any of you saw the trackside, which of you saw the trackside meetings we did this week, but I was working on the road and making a blacktop road, kind of like Ken Patterson did on his show, probably 2 years ago, I guess is what it was dated. And it works really well with the vinyl concrete patch from DAP. It's easy to put on, pretty easy to work with. And once you stain it with India ink, or in my case, I use that creosote stain that I've been using. And man, it looks really good. So now I got to stripe it, and I'm deciding trying to decide how much striping I want to put on it.
Hey, Claude, you put the Teesprings link up.
Oh, did I? Well, go buy something.
No, we want Sparky on. We don't
I'm
want him
sorry.
we don't want him to buy anything.
I was doing that just before the show. We're getting the Teespring deal in there.
Yeah,
Sorry
Roy,
about
come
that.
on. Roy says he can come on next week.
Okay. Well, here is the show. There's the one to come on the show. Now, you go to Teespring link, just go there and buy something. Steve and I were just talking. We're coming up, I think, on 2 years. Should be November, December.
Can you believe that?
And we're going to have to do a giveaway. We'll have to do a good giveaway. And we've got some money in the Teespring account from stuff everybody's bought. So that's what we're going to use that for. And we'll pick something out. I'm not sure what we'll buy with that. But we'll buy something that's fairly general, though, I would think. Maybe a gift certificate, I guess, would be good.
Yeah.
Do something like that. That way, no matter who gets it, they'll be able to spend it. So, Allie, I haven't put anything on there. There's Sparky. Morning, Sparky.
Good morning, Sparky.
Well, he joined, but I don't see a picture, and I don't see it.
I got my deadhead going.
Ah, there he is. Oh, well. Hey, if you keep your hair like mine, you don't have to worry about that. Then it's just bad face, you know.
That my camera's not centered, so is your layout there?
I'm gonna change this layout here.
Rail.
Yeah, we'll leave
That's better.
Hey, Sparky, look, I've got a con rail. I've got one.
Well, get running it.
Okay, I'll put it on.
Will it run with Santa Fe?
It doesn't like Santa Fe.
It doesn't like Santa Fe?
No. I'll put it on.
Roy just came in. Good to see you, Roy. So what have you been up to, Sparky?
Well, trying to redo my third level, and I'm putting code 100 up there just because it's the third level, and I figure code 100's less maintenance type thing. So, and up there you get a lot of fluctuation with the temperature, just being up like 7 feet. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I know that. I know that from doing home repair stuff and being up on a ladder and painting or hanging fixtures or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't take but a couple of feet to change the temperature quite a bit.
yeah. So I am modifying a bridge. I'll go get it here in a second because hopefully it's drying. But I got one of those over under. What was that? Lifelike or something that did the blinking bridge over under set type thing. So I got that, and my GoPro, of course, doesn't fit through that. So I've had to try to modify that. Hopefully I did a good enough job that the GoPro will fit now anyway. But that's the next thing to go on the third level is just a little bit of an up and over and down type thing, and get some trees and a river up there and try to make it look like something anyway.
All right. Are you ever gonna put a permanent elevated walkway in there?
What do you mean permanent elevated walkway?
Well, for like people that want to come in and see the layout.
Oh no, if you're too short, too bad. You can wait for the train to come down.
Well, that's kind of way I did mine. I actually built mine lower than I normally would have. It was just going to be me, but because I'm 6'2", so I can see up pretty well. But it's my first level is down about probably 6 inches lower than I would have liked it to be. But I did that because my son's short. The rest of my family's fairly short, so I thought if they're going to be able to see it, I'm going to have to haul in a stool just for them to see the first level. So
Yeah, well, my first level is like just over 3 feet. And then my second level, I think, is 4.5, close to 5. So people can see most of that. And like I said, the third level's, a lot of people call it staging or whatever, where trains disappear.
yeah,
So it's kind of the same thing. It's just there's no staging up there.
yeah.
But that's also why I'm going to put that over under bridge up there too. It'll bring the train up. All of a sudden you can see it, and then it'll go back down type thing. So
Bernard wants to know how the helix is holding up, Sparky.
Best thing I ever did was redo that helix. And again, that's code 100 track on that too, and it's holding up great. Like,
How long does it take to go from the bottom level to the top level?
all the way around at 40 miles an hour scale miles, it takes about 22 minutes to do my whole layout.
What about the helix?
I've never actually timed the helix itself.
Well, and it takes longer going up than it does coming down.
Well, depending on your speed step, right? But
That's right.
most of the
we
trains probably got the back EMF and all that stuff in there. So even coming down, they'll slow down a little bit. So
We've got Pappy in here too. Good morning, Pappy.
Yes, good morning, Pappy. Yeah, I was just getting ready to say I don't get to see your live show because it's in the evenings, and I've said this many times. That's the time I spend with the wife. So she's getting ready to retire. So maybe after that, I'll be able to sneak out a night or two in the evening and watch some of the live shows, because I hate watching a live show that's been recorded.
well, that's when I get to watch my live show. Like I never get to see it either. So
Yeah. So I really, the only one I ever go back to see is ours, and I only watch for certain things on it, and then I don't watch recorded shows. I'd rather watch somebody's layout tour that they do or update or something like that that's recorded if I'm going to watch recorded stuff. So
yeah, my Wednesday night live shows, they don't get a lot of rewatching afterwards. But the GoPro Live that I do, a lot of people go back and watch that.
yeah.
It's
Well,
just like a layout tour. So.
Yeah, that's a little bit different than the discussions. It's the discussions. They feel like they've got something to say and they can't say it because it's not ongoing at the time. So what's the point, you know? At least that's kind of how I feel. But anyway, that's why I don't get to see a lot of them. But hopefully that's going to change. What did Bernard say? That's good news, Sparky. You took a lot of satisfaction turning out the old layout.
Yeah, a lot of people watch that video too. I get the old Sawzall going and just go nuts.
Now, Sparky, was that a Challenger or Big Boy that you were running?
That's the big boy I run.
Is that yours?
Yep.
Wow. That's really cool.
I got a big boy and I got a cab forward, and I do have the Challenger too. It's just, I think it's only been under the box once. So.
Yeah, I've got a Challenger that will run on my layout, but it's just way too big for my layout.
That's what I use the big boy for, is just to kind of fine tune any part of the track or whatever. So.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I saw interesting, and I should have saved the link to it because I think everybody would have liked to seen it. It was a series of 3 videos, and the guy does other stuff too. But this was strange and unusual locomotives, and you may have seen it. And there's some stuff on there I had never seen before. Some of them I've seen, but some of them I'd never heard of or even seen a picture of something like what they had on there. And they were talking about the Russians made one that had, I want to say 16 drivers.
Oh.
And they only made the one, and it only ran like a few times because it tore up the track because it was so heavy. Anytime it went around a curve, it tore the track up, and it also tore up the turnouts. And so they ended up scrapping it. But that thing was huge. But it wasn't articulated. It was 16 drivers just straight up. And all they did was have some blind drivers in the middle to help with going around corners, but still. It's a lot of weight on the tracks.
Sparky, Steve Anderson wants to know how the flats in your Helix are working.
Well, they're not actually flats; they're just straight sections, and it was just to keep the grade down a little bit. I had the extra room closer to the door, so sticking that extra, I think it was 16 or 18 inches, those straight pieces in.
Yeah.
So it helped keep my grade down. I'm exactly 2% the whole way up, so or the whole way down, depending on if your cup's half full or half empty. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good because even though we're models and we get away with a lot more than they can in real life, there's still the grades. You have to be careful of the grades. Especially if you're running prototype stuff, in your case, long trains. So that's a lot of pull up those hills. And it's not just on the locomotive, it's on all the couplers and everything else. And people forget about that part of it. Because Steve knows about broken couplers.
Yeah, mine don't break.
No, I'm talking about on a real train.
Oh yeah.
You were telling me he had some break before.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the knuckles are the weak link. They're designed to break.
Yeah. But yeah,
Steve's leaving us. He has to go and get a picture of a nuclear train engine.
a nuclear train engine. Okay.
I don't know. But it's only a picture he's going to get, so I don't know why somebody couldn't just email him and he could just stay here and watch this live stream.
Yeah. What are they hauling, nuclear or is it nuclear powered?
Yeah,
he says he's not going yet. Okay. Well,
but you got to get him up here to explain that stuff. So
yeah, get on here and explain that, Steve. Here, I'll put it up again. There you go. Get on here and explain that. A nuclear.
Yeah, what the hell's in? Well, I know they haul nuclear waste on trains. Maybe that's it.
Well, I've even seen the box cars. The military had some that were designed to carry intercontinental ballistic missiles. The Russians also had them, so they can move them around. But
well, in the UK, they use a couple. They remove waste or something by rail. So nuclear waste, they take that to the sub depots, and that's how they power their submarines. By the sounds of it.
I used to carry bombs on my trains occasionally. They would go to Port Chicago. We'd get 6 or 8 cars on the head end with bombs. That was always fun.
Steve says he was just talking about odd trains. And then that jumped on me. I was trying to read it.
Well, if anybody's going to talk about odd stuff, it would be Steve.
Yeah. Oh, see there, it jumped on me again. They developed one and it's in Idaho. That may be the same one I saw.
No, Roy, I was sick last week. Honestly, I wasn't working on my tender. I was sick last week.
The one I saw was the one that carried the missile was, I thought it was in Idaho, and that may be the one he's talking about. Well, he can explain it. Here he is.
Okay. Hey guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry, had to get rid of my bed head like Sparky had. So anyway, I have, I was in the nuclear power program, and I've been able to go see a lot of different things in a lot of different places, which is kind of weird. So out in Idaho, there is the Idaho National Engineering Laboratory, okay, where they do a lot of experiments on nuclear reactors. And during the time frame, there was a lot of experiments that they were doing. One of them was a portable nuclear reactor for the Army, a nuclear powered aircraft. And then one of the last ones that they did was a nuclear powered train engine. So
really,
yeah, they tried to make an engine that was nuclear powered because it's kind of real simple. It's the same as a steam engine, right? So instead of putting coal in there, you just have a nuclear engine. And they're trying to make it small enough, and I forget whether it was. I guess it would be more of the electrical one where they drove an electrical turbine. And I think it's still out there. I forget, but it's been a while. And what when I was there, the site was closed. right? You couldn't get onto it. But now the site's been opened, kind of like Hanford in Washington. You can drive along a lot more of the sites and see some things. So they have an example of it, or at least pictures of it or something like that out there. So
I hadn't heard of that.
yeah, they
No, I never have.
so that would be kind of interesting. Maybe we can make Nathan. Maybe we can get Nathan DeLay to make one of those for us. He can stretch it.
Well, and Sparky, that was a waste? Was that a nuclear waste car there?
Yeah, that's from the UK. So when I actually took my trip over there, I did see 2 of those, and that's all they run, 2 locomotives and 2 of those cars. And apparently there's quite a bit of military people on there too. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
A lot of security, I'm sure.
yeah, you don't see them. They're in the trains themselves, but
Yeah.
Now, Steve, was that set up like the old UP turbines?
I don't know. It's been such a long time. I was out there in the probably the 90s when I got to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny. While I was there, I got to see the 3 Mile Island core too, the one that they pulled from when it melted down. So I got to go to the building that had that in it. That was kind of fun. It's kind of a weird thing that we got when you're in weird different fields. It's just like at the Hanford nuclear site. This is another thing that's really interesting. And Sparky was showing the cars that they put nuclear stuff in. Hanford has a set of railroad tracks that go into the desert. They drive across the desert, and then all of a sudden they start in a downward slope, and then they just disappear. Well, there was a little incident back in the 50s, I think, or something like that, where the train was sitting someplace and the entire thing got contaminated. So they just dug a big hole in the desert in Washington State and just drove the whole train into it and then buried it all over. Just put it in a casket because it was easier to do that. It's
Wow.
funny. There's a lot of things that are buried in different places. There's like 20 or 30 cars that got contaminated once. They buried them out there. They just put them on trucks and just took them all in there. So yeah, it's kind of funny. It's some of the stuff that's laying around from early nuclear things.
well, that's how you get rid of any problem. You just send it out to the desert, bury it, forget about it. It'll go away, right?
It'll go away. Yeah.
Well, I think if you've ever been to the Nevada desert or anywhere in that area, you'll know that there's not very many people out there. Nobody's going to really want to live out there.
Yeah.
And so who's going to bother? That's what their mindset is. I know that.
Yeah, and they've got what a half-life of 500 million years or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like weapons caches that they have out. And they'll have them out in the desert. You'll never even know they're there.
Yeah.
Except they'll have a fence. There'll be a fence there, but you won't be able to see anything. You can't see the building or anything else.
Yeah, that's like if you take Interstate 84 out through Eastern Oregon, and I'm surprised Steve doesn't know this, but if you take and you go to a place called Umatilla, you can actually see you'll be driving down 84, and on the one side you'll have the Columbia River, and when you get into about Umatilla, which is about I think the center of the state on 84, Steve, or is it a little bit farther east in Eastern
I don't know.
Oregon? Yeah, you can look over and there's just all these little humps. There's like what you said, there's a big fence and then there's a bunch of little humps in this big area. And that's where the U.S. used to put a whole bunch of weapons too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one in southern Oklahoma here too that back when it was built, there wasn't anything out there. There's small towns around there now, but back when they first started doing it, they didn't have hardly any people living in that area. But if you look on it on the map, it's a pretty good sized space, but you never see it because there's no roads that go by it.
Well, that's what they did in Port Chicago for the bomb storage. Some of it was underground, some was above ground, and they had just mounds to the side if anything blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Port Chicago did blow up once.
Oh yeah. Well, they've had all kinds of nuclear disasters,
Oh, they had
silos and everything else.
Oh, you can Google it. You know, the Port Chicago explosion. They were loading a ship back.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't remember the date, but yeah, it blew up the entire town. Yeah, it was. It was
Their logo is not safety first.
no.
Yep.
No, that was more
But
like
usually the guys that screw up are in the explosion, so you know there's nobody to talk to after that. But yeah, no, I didn't know they had tried a nuclear train. That's interesting.
No, I didn't either.
But you're right. From what I understand about nuclear generation for power, it's similar to doing just a regular steam engine.
Yeah, you're just boiling water.
Yeah, you're just using a different fuel is all you're really doing. Now you've got to take precautions because of that fuel, but it's still basically a same simple procedure.
Well, the amount of derails that everybody gets, like all the major railroads and stuff, you wonder if they'd really want that on the rails or not.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of the stuff that they transport on there, even just the nuclear waste.
Yeah,
you know, because that can be dangerous also. Although I would think that would be easier to contain than a working reactor. Roy says Parsons, Kansas had an ammunition factory, and now they store ammunitions there now. I don't know, Roy. I've never actually been to Parsons. I've been by there, but it sits off the interstate quite a ways. It wouldn't surprise me that they have one there. It's weird, in my experience, it's weird to find where they do have that kind of stuff, and you don't think about it. But it was like the plutonium manufacturing back. I don't know if you guys remember back in the early 70s, there was a deal with a gal that was here in Oklahoma, and we didn't know what was going on until that story broke that it was even being made here. Now they probably did around that area, but it was a small town. Nobody talked about it here for sure. And so they do stuff like that all over the place that you may not know about. And that's the way they want it. They don't want you to know about it, so. Excuse me.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting when so part of the thing like Sparky was showing the casket that they have. Well, when I finally get my bigger layout, right? Because right now this is not my forever home. My forever home will actually have a layout space, and part of what I'm doing for the Puget Sound Pacific Railroad, they actually have the Bangor sub base, right, where they have the nuclear submarines at, and they also have a shipyard. And one of the cool things about it is the military loads that they have out there. Luckily, there's a few rail fans that fan that one. You don't see it very often, but they've gotten some pictures. They've gotten some really, really cool pictures. So, like what Sparky was showing there, that's the nuclear cask, which means that's where the spent fuel is that they take out and they go bury, right? The new fuel normally comes in just a boxcar, right? But the boxcar is, it's like Sparky was saying. There's an engine. There's usually an idler car. There's the load. There's another idler car, and then there's a caboose with a bunch of people in the back of it, right? So, and then there's normally, when it's actually traveling, there's usually some other people. But because the railroad is so remote in a lot of places, they don't have to escort it, right? Because just in my train line alone, there's parts, there's no roads. It's a good 10-15 miles in the woods from any roads. And Steve knows, I'm sure, he's gone through places where there's nothing there. It's just the railroad track. So that's why a lot of the stuff is transported by rail. It's faster, it's more secure. And yeah, it's easier to get permission to go through things like that. So the loads that I can run on my railroad are torpedo loads, which are special box cars. And then the nuclear waste, like Sparky was showing, which is more of the fuel. And then there's also other nuclear waste, which is kind of funny. So the lower nuclear waste, they just put in 20-foot containers and put those on flat cars that are marked with placards saying nuclear in it. So I want to be able to make the nuclear casks, because the US ones are different from what Sparky showed. They're kind of, actually, you can see them on Virtual Railfan. I think just this last week on their grab bag, they had another train go through, probably Chehalis or something like that, that has it. So those are some of like the specialty trains that I want to be able to run on my thing. So I have to go look and actually have to build those because nobody makes them as cars.
I had seen, and I'd never seen it until just the last couple of years when I got back into model railroading. There's a car, and I've not seen a picture of a real one, and I'm assuming they're out there because there's models of them. But they're on like a flat car, maybe a fish belly flat car, but it looks like a cement mixer almost. You know, the back end you'd see on a cement truck, and it's on 2 pivot points, and it's a round cask. And I have no idea what they haul with that. I assumed it might be something nuclear, but you know, I don't know. Maybe somebody knows. If y'all know what I'm talking about, if you've seen what I'm talking about, they're an interesting car to me, only because I've never seen one before. But it's an unusual looking freight car. Mm-hmm. And I say freight with, you know, because I don't know what else you'd call it. But have you guys seen anything like that?
Yeah, they're usually very heavy. They've got the 6-wheel trucks on them too, because the shielding is so thick. Those cars are very heavy.
Well, Allie says she thinks it's a slag car, and you know, I guess I'd never seen one in like I say in real life. But if there's a model of it, then there must have been a real one out there. Dave says a bottle car. I don't know what they call it, but I've seen it on somebody's layout in a video, and I don't think they actually said anything about it. But I saw the car go by, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And I had no idea what it was like, but it looked like a cement, like I say, the back end of a cement truck, but between these two, whatever you call them, points, pivot points on them.
I'm not much. I don't know if it would be a slag car or not, because those only have a certain area they can go to. Because once the slag cools down, the car's garbage. So it's like a cement truck or whatever. Like if that load gets hard, you're just tossing it out. So
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what they're called or what they carry, but it looked like it could have been something nuclear. Just the way they were carrying, you know, just the way the car was designed. Mm-hmm. But I'll try and find a picture of that, of what I'm talking about later, and maybe stick it on there next week or something. But it was just interesting. And then we were talking about nuclear cars, so I thought that popped into my head. I thought maybe that was one too. But if nobody knows what I'm talking about, then maybe I'm just crazy.
Well, we know that.
Oh, Joe Rader says they're used at steel mills. Okay. So that, Joe, are you saying they're just used at and around the mill itself? Which is what I'm, you know.
See, they might be slag cars. They're just new slag cars and on their way to the steel mill, maybe.
Yeah. Allie says they're used in manufacture steel products. Okay. Well, it makes sense. I just didn't know what they were for. And Dave says they don't travel very far. Oh, hang on a second. I got a customer over here scratching on my door.
Oh, I got a dog scratching on me.
Come here.
Oh my goodness.
Come on. Yeah.
My animal
Came in and interrupted. You gotta go on camera.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't hear that, Steve, at all.
I said my animal just walks across the back and leaves everything alone.
Well, these usually aren't too boisterous unless there's a dog out on the street. And this is Lily, and I say she's manic depressive. She's either 900 miles an hour or this right here. I've never seen a dog. See how she's laying, just completely relaxed. I've never seen a dog. I could lay her on her back and she'd do the same thing.
Not this one. This one's certifiably lunatic.
Exactly. Well, most dogs won't relax like this. And she just, look at her, she just limp. Thank goodness she didn't weigh very much, but she likes to sit in my lap for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, they say animals are like their owners, right? So.
Oh God.
I wish I could be that relaxed sometimes. Here, why don't you get in there? Anyway, yeah, they always want to be where I'm at for some reason. Maybe because I feed them all the time.
Yes, puppy. He's a good puppy.
Yep.
Yes.
That's probably why.
Oh, can you
So
stop?
Steve, what's kind of like the weirdest loads that you ever had that you ever had to?
Gosh, I'm trying to think. Really, probably just bombs. That was most unusual that we would get. The Valley Division that I worked, we didn't get very many unusual loads. I'd have to say none that really comes to mind, except I was probably the most unusual load.
Well, Steve, just to kind of change the subject a little bit, but it's on the same. You know, the old car, they were box cars, but they hauled automotives, but they hung the automotives up in the box car. Did you ever?
I saw a picture of one of those yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's crazy.
They were called Vega Cars, or Vega, Vega Cars, because it was just the Chevy Vega that they did that with.
Yeah.
And they used a forklift to close it up.
Isn't that crazy?
They drive the cars up on there and use a forklift and just sandwich them up like that. I'd never seen that before until I saw that picture yesterday.
Yeah, that seems very inefficient.
You would think so, yeah.
Allie has given us
and time consuming.
Yeah, I just kind of wondered if you ever seen one of those in real life. And
No, I've just seen pictures. No, I've never seen one. They should have saved one for a museum because that's definitely an oddity in railroading.
no doubt.
Yeah.
Vertipack.
Anyway, Allie put a link up to that bottle and other hot cars and trains. Okay. So I'm assuming that's the one we're talking about. Vertipack. Roy says it's called a Vertipack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that car either, or that way of hauling them. It kind of makes sense, especially for a specific kind of car when they know they can get twice as many in it that way. But I thought it was really strange that they were using a forklift to shut it. You know.
Actually, I guess I was thinking probably the strangest load was 89-foot flat cars that had Ford truck frames all stacked diagonally on the top. That was kind of bizarre.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Mike Buddy has been doing some different modeling, and that's one of the things that he did was a flat car full of school buses, but they didn't have the back end of the school bus on it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the international truck going to get the rest of the school bus fitted on it. And he also did a model. I don't know whether he did a whole train, but he did a whole bunch of Vertipacks. And he's got one where it actually folds down and he's got all of the cars inside the Vertipack.
Does a rail train count as an unusual load?
Not anymore. You see them all the time.
Can you stop?
Yeah, all I see around here anymore seems like are either box cars or covered hoppers or tank cars. Used to see a lot of coal cars, coal hoppers going through. But I haven't seen as many here lately. The last 5-10 years.
Probably the most unusual train I had was the Spino rail grinder. That was fun. I got called to pilot that once, and there wasn't anything for me to do because they ran it. The conductor did all the paperwork, but they had to have an engineer on the crew, and there wasn't anything for me to do.
So is that like running Jack speed?
But what's that?
I said, is running one of those like Jack speed?
Very slow, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I spent the whole time up on top of the caboose with the fire hose, just shooting water to put out spot fires.
So what kind of train was that again?
It was a Spino rail grinder.
A rail grinder. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it? Just cleaning up bad spots on the rail?
Occasionally they'd have to reprofile the railhead. It would flatten out. So it was a train of big stone wheels that set on different angles. Each car had a different angle of stone and shields on the side to block the sparks. So it would go at less than walking speed, probably a mile an hour, maybe 2 at the most. It was just a crawl, and it would grind it. And they had cars that would spray water after the grinder. But, every once in a while, a tie would catch on fire or something. So they had a caboose on the back end with a platform and fire hoses stationed around it. So you sat on the back of the train and just looked for smoke.
So were they spraying water on it, or was it isopropyl alcohol or mineral spirits?
It was
one were
water.
they using?
Just water.
Well, because I figured if they used the 70% isopropyl alcohol, right? Never mind. That's a different track cleaning.
That's a different track. I get it.
Yeah, he first said that, and I'm thinking, why would they spend? And I understood what he was talking about.
Yeah, it took me a little longer.
Sparky got it. I thought he was going to hit his head.
Yeah, I've got a couple that train someplace. I should show you.
A really good video of the rail grinder is TSG Multimedia did one, and it's at night. And if you ever want to see a good one, just check out his.
Oh yeah.
And it shows the whole train start to finish when it goes by, how fast. Like it's fascinating enough to watch a longer video of something that doesn't really move.
Yeah. Oh, the other one too that probably will kill me was the weed sprayer train. Somebody should model a weed sprayer.
Now those I've seen.
Oh man.
Of course, what they do up north of town here, I had a job back when I was still plumbing, about 20 miles north of town. Here's a little town. There's about 400 people in it. And on the other side of the 2-lane highway is the rail line that goes north there. And I don't remember what line it was. It was probably BNSF. But they had the ditches on each side of it. The other side of the railroad track were just like fields, farmers' fields, wheat fields, and stuff like that. Well, in the summertime, they would come through, and instead of cutting the grass out of the ditches and stuff on the right of way, they just throw a fire starter over the side and let it burn.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then the volunteer fire department had to come out and all that, because otherwise it would spread. With the wind we get here sometimes in the summertime, it would spread too fast.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't just throw it out there and it would die out. It was going to spread. And they got those fields a couple of times. And, there was an ongoing battle all the time with the people that lived there and the train company.
Well, that's kind of a question I've got now is like, you see the firefighting trains because all the fires and stuff that we're getting. Is that something new, or have those always been around?
Oh, they've been around.
Yeah, I think they've been around.
Yeah.
And of course on the Durango and Silverton, and also on the Cumberson Toltec lines, the narrow gauge scenic lines, they always follow the train with a speeder that is pulling a water car, a small water car with a pump on it and a hose on it, so they can hit any hot spots from the cinders and stuff. The fire that got the 451 fire that got started 3 years ago, something like that, up north of Durango, the fire was far enough up the hill, the speeder car couldn't reach it. And so that's why that one got started. But yeah, they still follow those all the time. They run the coal fired engines. I don't think they follow the new diesels, although those Alcos that the Durango Silverton got, they probably should follow the fire car, because they belch pretty good flame at the top of that engine. I just don't know that there's anything coming off of it that could, get out and catch on to something in the forest. But we saw them coming into Silverton when I was up there just a month or so ago, and yeah, they had probably 2 to 3 foot of flame coming out the top of the stack on that Alcos that's pulling up into town. So they belch it pretty good.
I was looking to see if here, Claude, I'm going to send you 3 pictures of the rail grinder train.
I have probably seen one and just not realized that's what it was doing.
The amount of sparks that come off it, you'd know what you saw. So
yeah, if it was running, you would definitely notice it, I guess. And like I say, I may have seen one sitting on a siding or something and not known that's what it was. It wouldn't surprise me. I'd never seen one of those bottle cars before either. So still haven't seen one in use. Yeah, Roy says, what's Roy saying here? Got some video from Alamosa, Colorado, and St. Louis and Rio Grande Railroad yesterday. Oh, you were going through God's country there, man. That railroad runs from Alamosa back east, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a full size or full gauge. It's not standard. It's a standard gauge. It's not a narrow gauge.
Yeah, that's
Spectator line or scenic line.
Yeah, I just pulled up chat finally, and I see Dave with BNSF N scale talking about the spark arresters, and I was wondering if Steve knew about the spark arresters, because I know all of the trains that go east from Seattle, they all are very watched, and every one of them has to have spark arresters on them because they've set forest fires off in the past. And
well, actually, let's see. I'm trying to. Okay. I sent you some pictures, Claude.
I'm getting there.
We didn't have them on the Santa Fe, but the locals around here, they have to have a water car on them, and they have to be turbocharged. They can't be normally aspirated because of sparks. Okay, that's the rail grinder train I was on in 1992. I don't know if you can see those or not.
Yeah, I was trying to enlarge it. I'd have to download them first to do that, I think. There we go. Nope. Because even if I enlarge it and then share it, it's still not wanting to pick it up as the ship. No, it's not wanting to enlarge it. Anyway. I can get those next week. I'll download them and have them up. I'll also get one of the bottle car, and I'll see if I can't find those links to those unusual engines, because it was pretty interesting, I thought.
Let's see. Gus wants to go to the bathroom. You're gonna have to wait.
Sparky's talking about where that went from South Fork. Does it go all the way to South Fork? I didn't know that. South Fork's a pretty place.
Come here.
Yes, Sparky, Roy. I knew there were some still getting train service off that line, but that's one of their main main deals there, I think, is still the spectator line. They also still have 3-rail going down to Alamosa. I mean, from Alamosa to Antonito, at least part way. They used to have, of course, go all the way. I think now it's just part way. They pull part of the three rail up, but that line still makes a straight south run from Alamosa to Antonito in the standard gauge. So I know they still take the standard gauge down there because there's grain and grain elevators and stuff down along there too that they service.
Speaking of other unusual loads, like I'm just throwing this out there kind of, but military trains, do you guys have any of those on your layout? I know you watch Virtual Railfan or whatever. If a military train goes by, they really highlight that kind of thing. And there's a few layouts that got nice military trains. But I'm just wondering, because Canada, we don't even think about a military train. And I'm not sure about Australia or the UK or anything else. But in the States, military trains seem to be a really big thing.
They're pretty common, actually.
Yeah, we'll get them through here. Normally, all you see on them are Humvees and trucks anymore. Back when Desert Storm was going on, every once in a while we see some M1s going through. But very, very seldom did you see a tank on it exposed. If they had them on there, they had them covered a lot of times.
Well, the BNSF moves quite a few of them up from Southern California up to Washington for maneuvers.
Yeah.
Because I got friends that run up the Feather River Canyon, and they get them at least once a month.
Yeah.
Oh, and Sparky, I have seen the Canadian Army bring stuff down on BNSF on a train. They, I guess, out of British Columbia, they came down to Washington to do maneuvers. And yeah, the six cars in your tank came down to you. But no, it was mostly all vehicles. I don't think they had any armor on there. It was mostly like the support vehicles and I think some of the cannons and stuff like that. But I did see one train that had Canadian stuff on it. That came down from the north one time.
Were they still station wagons?
No.
Yeah, we see, like I say, we see them here every now and then, but they're usually the Humvees and trucks, stuff like that. Now, every month during the summer, or every 6 weeks during the summer, there's always a parade from the National Guard here in town out toward Muskogee, where they have where it used to be a prisoner of war camp, World War II prisoner of war camp, but they do maneuvers down there. They do their 2-week thing in the summer down there. And so there's a turnpike highway that goes that way, and you'll see them on the turnpike doing their 35 miles an hour or whatever it is in convoy with all the Humvees and trucks. And they'll be pulling guns sometimes. I've never seen any armor going that way, but I see that more than I see them on the trains here.
The only thing that's really kind of funny, and Roy Eltham says that he's got the loads and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I've noticed is most of the military trains that they show on Virtual Railfan, they're all 3-axle flat cars. They're like 89 footers, but they're 3-axle. Six total wheels, and then nobody makes those. They're all they just put the military train on the 89 footers and just call them good. And it's like, do you know how heavy a tank is? It's not going to be able to. They're pretty heavy. So that's one
I've never actually noticed that before, that they've got 3 sets of wheels.
Yeah, the real ones. Yeah, they've got to carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they've got more wheels on them. But I've never noticed, like you said, in the models, I've seen model military rail cars, but I've never paid attention to the trucks on them. Because I don't have, for one thing, I don't pay that much attention to those because I don't have them on my layout. But yeah, I have seen them, but I've never noticed the trucks. I'll look for that next time.
Yeah, there's a modular rail club here I forget whether it's the Kitsap one or which one it is, but this one guy has 4 of his modules. I think it is. I think it's 4 of his modules are a World War II training camp getting ready to deploy to the war. So his whole setup is he's got all the little Sherman tanks, he's got the flat cars, he's got the all of the troop cars too, and he runs that train every once in a while too. And he's got the big yard for loading everything. That's what his 4 modules are. It's all dedicated to like a World War II military training camp. And that's pretty impressive when you see all of the stuff, you know, because he's probably got 100 tanks on there, you know, with about 40 cars plus all of the troop cars, which is another 40 or 50, you know, sort of passenger cars, because the troop cars were different from passenger cars in the 40s and all that kind of stuff. So that's a pretty kind of impressive display on his layout when they put it all together.
Yeah, I can imagine. I watch shows like Band of Brothers or Winds of War, stuff like that, and you see them bringing in the guys to places like New York and stuff to get on the ships to go over. And I can imagine in my mind what the terminals looked like at that time with steam trains coming in, that many steam trains coming in with the troop trains, because they would have been full constantly with troop trains coming in, getting ready to go over for the invasion. One of the most interesting military trains I ever saw in a model, I was at a train show, and a guy had done 2 modules. It was on a modular layout. He'd done 2 modules with World War I trench train, what they called a trench train, which uses real small locomotives. They remind me of a locomotive you'd see on at a zoo or someplace like that, you know, maybe a 15-inch gauge, 12-inch gauge, something like that. And they hold materials and stuff down to the trenches on the front. And that was an interesting layout. But that's very specific. I mean, that's not something that most people even know about. And so to model something like that was, to me, was really interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that.
And I didn't get to talk to the guy. My guess is he had to scratch build 90% of what was on his modules, because it's just not, it's not commercially available. But it was very interesting to see. Hey, Michael McCarville got here.
Hey, Mike.
See you, Michael.
Haven't seen that Conrail go by yet, Steve.
Oh, I turned it off. Here.
Marvin's been waiting all this time and we turned it off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Probably just off to the side of the picture too, just sitting there. Surprised it's not just a little glimpse of blue peeking.
I was
through.
wondering how we were keeping Sparky.
It's coming around. I'll park it right behind me. It was too noisy. I was at a hard time hearing anybody.
Move the camera now, Steve, so we can see it.
Here, I'm just gonna bring it down to right here. Oh, I got a dog in my arm, so I'm having a hard time moving.
I'm gonna say you're running my speed now.
There we go.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay. I think Sparky's satisfied now.
Yeah, I'm happy now.
Okay.
Hey,
Well,
Sparky,
that was a quick hour.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to have to get off here pretty quick because I've got
me too.
places to go today. Anyway, it was great to see everybody. Thanks for coming on, Steve and Sparky. Enjoyed that conversation. That was interesting.
Yeah.
See, we never know where we're going to go, but we always end up with something.
Yeah.
So
unusual loads.
Yeah. And I'll try and follow that up next week and have those links to those deals and some pictures to show. And maybe we'll carry this conversation on next week too.
Yeah.
Until we divert to something else.
Sounds
Well, at
we
least
do.
your diversions aren't like Sidetrack Sunday, because we never know where that's going to go.
Well, we never know where we're going either.
We didn't either.
We're just hoping they don't show up to lock us up.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks guys for coming on. And,
Thanks, Sparky. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Good to see everybody in chat. It's always a fun time for me anyway on this.
Yeah.
When we don't have something to talk about. So anyway, we will see you guys next week, and have a good week, and take care.
Okay. See you later. Gus says bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Lily would say